It's a bad day on Main Street. Most days are bad days lately, and it shows. Downtown Canada is suffering from a progressive disease, Main Street decay. The symptoms are falling sales, vacant and rundown buildings, and a sense of hopelessness and helplessness among merchants and business people. If we don't check the disease now, it may soon be too late. We could lose our downtowns, and if that happens, we'll also be losing a good part of our heart and soul. In Perth, Ontario, it's a good day on Main Street. The people of Perth are celebrating the rebirth of their downtown in the wake of a 3-year Main Street revitalization project, the first of its kind. Under the impetus of Heritage Canada, Perth organized itself and undertook an aggressive program to draw people back downtown. Outward changes reflect a whole new attitude of optimism for the future and a determination to make their Main Street live again. From small beginnings, the movement grew until everyone in town was swept up in it, with support from all levels of government. Layers of neglect were stripped away. Second stories and disused buildings were brought back into useful service. The result is a bright new look for Main Street, and behind it, new energy, new excitement, and best of all, new business. What is Perth's secret? Why has it succeeded while so many continue to decline?
Prior to the Main Street program, we were having problems with individual business people going off in different directions. There was no concerted focus on what we wanted our business area to look like or the way we wanted to do business here. And being involved in the Main Street program has focused those efforts in a direction which has provided and produced a lot of dividends to the community. We've had new stores open up, we've had jobs created.
I know from the business side, the merchants are pleased. It's helped generate more traffic, greater profits. People tend to shop and stroll a little more. It's made the whole downtown a much nicer place to be.
Well, I think what it did was it forced Perth people and Perthen area people to realize what they had and do something with it before it was too late.
The Heritage Canada Main Street program has now moved into dozens of communities in the country. The program begins from the assumption that Main Streets are worth saving, that in the buildings and businesses of our downtowns, we declare who we are and what makes us different from all other people in all other places. But Main Street remains attractive to us only as long as it serves our needs. If it gets out of step, we go elsewhere. And more, this is where we go. The rise of the automobile meant people could choose where they'd go to shop. And malls addressed themselves to a society on wheels, locating on major roads and providing plenty of free parking. And beyond just catering to cars, malls provide protection from the rain, and they make sure the kids are entertained while their parents shop. But malls operate on a formula that suits chain stores and standardized businesses. Is this mall in Ontario, Quebec, the prairies? We're trading our individuality for convenience. And if we are not to lose track of our identity altogether, we have to get people back downtown. Compare the impersonal blandness of a mall with a place like Royal Billiards in Dauphin, Manitoba.
Filters and whatnot?
No, this here is
Leonard Finn, built-in condenser, you never need...
The relationship between June and Irene Veal and their customers reflects 3 generations on Main Street. No chain store can duplicate experience like that.
Yeah, I'll give you a few little tricks here.
The personal connection between merchant and customer is what Main Street has to offer. It's warm, comfortable, and it keeps customers coming back.
I think you'd like that. Well, I hope so. Tell your grandfather that's a little gift from the Royal Billiards, eh? All right, thank you very much. Bye.
But personal service is of little value if you can't attract new customers in the first place. June Veal's father knew that when he opened Royal Billiards in 1923. He made it the most elegant and up-to-date pool room on the prairies. He located close to the railway station in a day when everyone traveled by train. They used to come from all over the continent just to compete in Jim Veal's tournaments. 60 years later, the world has changed. Royal Billiards hasn't. If Main Street businesses want to survive, they're going to have to learn to compete. The site of Quebec's first Main Street project is Saint-Marie-de-Beauce. Like most Quebec towns, Sainte-Marie grew around its church, and for generations this street was the focus of town life. Then people began deserting it for the mall on the edge of town. Merchants tried desperately to bring them back, and the town's character began to disappear in a blizzard of clutter and junk. And to no avail. People kept on driving somewhere else to shop. Main Street project coordinator in Sainte-Marie is Benoit Boucher.
Salut, Benoit.
Boucher's first priority is to get out and make himself known and available to merchants who may need his help. Boucher's is a delicate job, requiring patience, tact, and a sensitive understanding of local conditions. If people have come to accept that Main Street has no future, it can be a difficult road back to confidence and optimism. Main Street revitalization is a careful step-by-step process.
Our strategy is designed to be implemented in 4 phases. First, we try to involve everyone in the business community and help them get organized. We then move on to the marketing phase by organizing downtown promotional activities, which include improvement of the window displays and helping businesses agree on common and consistent hours of operation. The last 2 phases include economic development and upgrading of the area. Economic development means bringing the vacant and unused buildings back into the commercial mainstream by encouraging development of businesses compatible with this particular environment. To upgrade the general appearance of the area, we offer free design services so that the outside appearance of buildings and the streets themselves may be improved.
Already, Boucher's efforts are starting to bear fruit. The merchants of Sainte-Marie-de-Beauce are getting together to work out strategies. Boucher called a meeting, but the merchants soon take over. The topic under discussion is a proposed joint promotion. But the important thing is that they are beginning to act together in a spirit of common cause. If organization is the first step to recovery, this meeting gives reason for hope. Behind the jumble and confusion, you can still catch glimpses of buildings of quality and substance, buildings that embody centuries of history. As this project develops, Sainte-Marie will recover that history, and with it, the spirit that once made Main Street thrive. A faded storefront says it all. We'd like to see you again. Main Street has much to learn from the success of malls, where cooperation between merchants is built into the very design. By coordinating the efforts of every business toward a common goal, merchants can make their mall an attractive place to be, present the unusual and the unexpected. The mall becomes an integrated selling machine where the goal is sales, but the technique is entertainment. People come for the excitement and to see what's new, and because everyone else comes. Ironically, mall designers recognize something most downtowns have forgotten: the power of Main Street imagery to create character and make us feel at home. And where malls have to use plastic fakes, Main Street is the real thing. So malls go on leading us further and further from our roots and making a lot of money as they do so. In less than 5 years, the West Edmonton Mall more than quadrupled in size, with predictable results for downtown business. Mayor Lawrence Decor calls it a mall that ate Edmonton. Surely something this successful has lessons for us all. This, as we shall presently see, is a mall lesson being applied to Main Street in Bridgetown, Nova Scotia. The man who organized this stunt, Blair Bede, learned the lessons of the mall from the inside out. He used to manage one. Nowadays, Bede applies his skills as a Main Street coordinator in Bridgetown. Bridgetown is evidence of how widespread the problems of Main Street have become. On first impression, it's a little difficult to associate Bridgetown with hard times. Comfort and affluence are on every side. Architecture reminiscent of Victorian seaports recalls a time when this was a major harbor for the tall ships. This is the kind of town where people put a premium on neighborhood pride. It's the kind of town where businessmen still get together to gossip and toss for morning coffee. The kind of town where people still go to church. But 2 years ago, there was trouble in Paradise. Even here, Main Street was in decline. Even here, people were taking their business down the road. Acting on the coordinator's advice, merchants organized to spruce up their street. They painted, tidied, and cleaned. They decided that if people weren't coming to their businesses, they would take their businesses to the people. Moving out onto the sidewalk made their street a more lively and interesting place to be. Sales went up.
You tell me your problems may be greater than mine, right?
Then he wanted to go see the Firebird.
Impressed, they began to look for other ways to draw people's attention. That's how the fire department came to be testing its new life-saving apparatus right in the middle of Main Street. Cheered by the success of cooperative effort, Bridgetown is now moving on to the next step, physical renewal.
Can you give me a price on that?
Sure thing. I'll stop in and take a look at the plans.
Okay. These are the plans for the building
A
change.
clean, attractive look is central to the success of any business.
Canopy, which would have removed
Referring to a building's original plans is often the simplest route to that look,
in place.
and the cheapest.
So I'll see the original.
So you'll see the original work under that board.
Its builders wanted this store to express the pride and optimism of its owners.
They'll be doing the upper
The
part
object of this phase is to restore that
show
spirit.
they were, and the provinces suggest they will share in the funding of it.
I like
through
to
the
hear
Main
that.
Street. Yeah. 40% of the cost of whatever. Great thing to have you lose your keys in your car.
Meet Scoop Lurie, newspaperman, politician, hard-nosed skeptic. After 16 years as mayor of Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Scoop knows a thing or two about politics.
Sure, I'll buy some Girl Jack cookies. What are they? $2 even? Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
When a Main Street project started in Moose Jaw in 1982, City Hall needed convincing. City Council had okayed a $50 million downtown mall, and the mayor wasn't about to stand in the way of investment. The downtown merchants, on the other hand, had no choice. They got together and fought back. They began with an aggressive campaign to get public attention focused downtown. Taking their cue from the malls, they adopted uniform hours, cooperated on promotions, and staged community events. Another lesson learned from the malls: where kids like to go, parents like to take them. Main Street had become an attraction. Better yet, it had become a profitable place to do business.
Hello, Stuart.
Among those impressed was Mayor Scoop.
Good.
The level of cooperation, I think, has certainly increased because of the Business Improvement District. 10 years ago, we would never have dreamt of getting the competing merchants together to put on a promotion. And we have two clothing merchants on City Council who have thrown aside their natural competitive system to cooperate with the Business Improvement District and promote not only their stores, but others as well.
While bringing about this transformation, Moose Jaw has discovered another truth about downtown. Once we stop seeing them as merely out of date, older buildings turn out to be one of a town's major assets. Aside from intrinsic qualities of beauty or grace, they have the incomparable advantage of being long paid for. Substantial investments that provide a solid base to work from. The secret of Moose Jaw's success lies in an aggressive publicity and marketing campaign, supported by all the merchants. After organization, effective marketing is the next essential step in bringing downtown back to life.
Are you going to name this burger after him? Are you going to have a celebrity burger?
The return of downtown spirit is enough to whet the appetite of any mayor. Scoop Lurie, newspaperman, politician, Main Street booster. Rural Alberta's unmistakable character is a direct expression of its rugged beginnings. Fort Macleod is an Alberta chronicle. It's a story of 100 years of struggle in a hostile climate, where the luck was usually somebody else's. Stages in the story are recorded in the facades of Main Street. Victories and defeats in the memories of men and women. In the years of optimism, 1 million immigrants streamed onto the prairie. Some of them can still be found among the regulars at the Silver Grill Cafe.
A busy place, busy town in 1910.
I think it was just back to not quite as big as the population today as it was then.
It was here Main Street coordinator Jim Mountain came to find the story of Fort Macleod.
Back in 23, and that was rough times all the time.
So the people were used to it.
And it was 1929 when the dollar, everybody, the whole world dropped in 29.
In its annual parade and rodeo, Fort Macleod celebrates the days when it was a frontier outpost, headquarters to the fledgling Northwest Mounties. But when Jim Mountain arrived, it was beginning to look like Fort Macleod's good days might be behind it forever. Young Fort Macleod was losing touch with its past. Their image of the world came from television, and it was telling them that the future was somewhere else.
These are getting down to the actual colors that the Legion
After
will,
2 years with the Main
probably
Street
use
project,
for their-
Mountain had seen Fort McLeod go a long way to turning that around.
addition to the Legion,
Organization and marketing
here,
phases
Jim
were
pointed
successfully
out
completed.
and that there, it,
Merchants wanted to go on to the third step in the process,
includes a new entrance
new business
and
development.
washroom.
This meant
Or
creating an
the
environment
building.
attractive
The
to
interior
business,
of the building is
then
being
actively
renovated
going out to
and
recruit it.
changed.
From a storefront office, Mountain could link with a nationwide network of Main Street projects and tap into their experience and ideas.
What I've done here is taken the window and masked that off with most likely a painted surface.
The Main Street office provided free advice to building owners on improvements and restorations.
Yeah, the owner was thinking of a very stylized bulkhead. That's why I've shown this one without the break. But the proposal I think that we should work towards is our preferable option.
The face of Fort McLeod began to change. Obsolete buildings became useful and attractive again. Second stories that had been vacant for years were restored to their original functions as office and residential space. The town's new confidence showed itself in window displays and refurbished signs. Even a traditional prairie eyesore turned out, when restored to its original look, to be a pleasing addition to the street. Best of all, the Greyhound Corporation cooperated and underwrote its full share of the cost. The business recruitment drive paid off. 7 businesses opened in previously abandoned shops. Businesses that brought more variety and range to Fort McLeod shopping district, that reflected contemporary tastes and helped make Main Street an enjoyable place to be. 100 years ago, Main Street was the social hub of the community. Since then, our species hasn't changed all that much. Gossip is still a human essential. Boy still meets girl. Why not on Main Street?
Come on along and listen to the melody of Main Street. The hit parade and
Some of the success surprised even the developers. 10 years ago, who would have believed that the Empress would ever again be home to live theater?
you could be here at the Empress Theater.
Given a solid commercial base, Main Street can be much more than just a shopping center. It can be the social and cultural heart of a community. The place where a community can find its soul. Deep in the British Columbia mountains, the town of Nelson has taken its Main Street project to its logical and attractive conclusion. 100 years ago, this was a tent city, supply center to the silver mines in the surrounding mountains. But Nelson's founders had dreams, and we can still see their dreams in the palaces they built. Monuments to a vision of greatness. Some of that vision, and the pride that goes with it, have been recaptured through a vigorous 4-year effort in Main Street revitalization. The final phase of the process, after a solid commercial footing has been restored, is large-scale renovation of downtown buildings. Physical changes in the town range from total reconstruction of old facades to simpler touches, carried out by the merchants themselves. Foundryman Tom Lynn is one of many Nelson tradesmen whose businesses have benefited from the Main Street project. Rehabilitation of existing buildings creates more local jobs per dollar spent than any other form of construction. Local fabrication means that end products can be tailored to the needs of the project and the character of the region. Storefronts and signs designed to complement the architecture around them complete the transformation. And downtown Nelson is open for business again. Every building from our past is a statement in our story. Making downtown vital again is a matter of rediscovering those statements and taking up the story where they leave off. Our regions have grown in different ways for different reasons. Reasons of geography, climate, and cultural heritage. To ignore that is to throw away our individuality and weaken our communities. In bringing life back downtown, Canadian communities are creating a powerful tool in the struggle to survive. Main Street reflects the diversity of our experience. In our apparently endless search for a Canadian identity, the place we should be looking is Main Street.
Hey!